Commander Jessica Steel Eyes Thompson stood motionless before the massive observation window of the Olympus Mons mining colony's control center, her steel-gray eyes fixed on the crimson Martian sky. The latest sensor reports lay forgotten on her tablet as she watched the impossible unfold above her. They emerged like oil spreading through water. Massive bioorganic ships breaking through the fabric of space itself. Their hulls rippled with patterns that hurt her eyes to look at, dark purples and blacks that seemed to absorb the very sunlight around them. The vessels were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, and Thompson knew in her gut that this wasn't a diplomatic mission. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cracked slightly as he called from his station. "We're picking up some strange energy signatures. They're scanning us." Thompson's jaw tightened. 15 years of military service before taking command of the mining colony had taught her to trust her instincts. "Get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command. Priority Alpha." The command center erupted into controlled chaos as her team moved with practiced efficiency. Through the window, more ships continued to emerge, their biological forms casting massive, writhing shadows across the Martian surface. Thompson counted at least 7 capital ships now, each one large enough to swallow her entire colony. "Commander," a new voice cut through the tension. Dr. Marcus, Tech Whisperer Bradley, their lead xenotechnologist, was hunched over his console, his dark skin illuminated by the soft blue glow of multiple screens. "You need to see this. We're intercepting their communications." Thompson crossed the room in quick strides, the magnetic boots of her environment suit making soft clicking sounds against the metal floor. The screen before her showed streams of data being processed through their most advanced translation software. "They're calling it the Great Hunt." Bradley's voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly as he typed. "From what I can decipher, they call themselves the Mercoid. They're hunters, Commander. They travel through space, looking for what they consider worthy prey." The translation software continued to process more data. Thompson's expression darkened as she read. The Mercoid were conducting initial assessment scans of human physiology. No natural weapons, no significant armor, limited muscle mass compared to their own species. Their communications revealed a dismissive tone, categorizing humans as soft prey. "They think we're easy targets," Thompson said, her voice cold. "They're scanning our weapons too, aren't they?" Bradley nodded. "Yes, ma'am. But they seem almost amused. Their technology is far beyond ours. They're not even considering us a threat." A memory flashed through Thompson's mind. Her grandfather teaching her to hunt in the mountains of Colorado, explaining how the most dangerous animals weren't always the ones with the biggest claws or sharpest teeth. It was about intelligence, endurance, and the will to survive. "Sound general quarters," she ordered, her voice carrying across the command center. "I want all non-essential personnel in the deep shelters. Begin emergency protocol Echo 7. "Echo 7, Ma'am," Rodriguez asked, already moving to comply. "That's the mining tunnel defense protocol." Thompson's lips curved into a slight smile that never reached her eyes. "If these aliens want to hunt, Lieutenant, let's show them what happens when they corner something they don't understand. Humanity didn't get to the top of Earth's food chain by being easy prey." Above them, the Mercoid ships began to move into attack formation, their bioorganic forms blocking out the stars. In the command center, warning klaxons began to sound as the colony's defense systems came online. Thompson watched as her people moved with purpose, fear present but controlled. "Earth Defense Command responding, ma'am," Rodriguez called out. "They're reading our telemetry. Additional forces are being mobilized, but we're on our own for now," Thompson finished. She turned to address her crew, her voice carrying the weight of command and the steel of determination. "Listen up. What happens here today will set the tone for humanity's first interstellar war. These aliens think they're the apex predators of the galaxy. It's time to show them that they've never met anything like us before. The Mercoid ships began their descent, their massive forms casting the colony into shadow. In the control center, Commander Thompson and her crew prepared to teach these self-proclaimed hunters a lesson about underestimating their prey. Lieutenant Jack, Crazy Jack Miller, had earned his nickname long before the aliens arrived. 3 years of leading mining operations in the treacherous Martian caves had taught him that sometimes the craziest plans were the only ones that worked. Now, crouched in the shadows of mining tunnel Delta 7, he was about to prove it again. They're moving into position. Sergeant Sarah Echo Williams whispered through their secured comm channel. Her voice was steady despite the sound of heavy alien footsteps echoing through the adjacent tunnel. 5 hostiles, moving in standard search formation. They're using some kind of bioorganic armor. It's like watching walking tanks. Miller checked the modified mining laser in his hands. The weapon had originally been designed to cut through Martian bedrock, but his team had spent the last 6 hours repurposing it for a very different kind of cutting. Status on the tunnel supports. Charges set and ready, came the reply from Corporal Michael Digger Anderson. But sir, if we bring down this section, we'll lose access to the Eastern Supply Depot. Better than losing it to them, Miller responded, his voice grim. Commander Thompson bought us time with that defense at the main airlock, but these bastards are going to figure out the secondary entrances soon. We need to make them think twice about coming down here. The alien footsteps grew closer. Through the dim red emergency lighting, Miller could see the first signs of their bioluminescent armor, a sickly green glow that reflected off the tunnel walls. The Mercoid moved with the confident grace of apex predators, their elongated forms nearly 3 meters tall. Remember, Miller whispered to his team, these things are used to quick kills. They've never had to fight in an environment like this. We're going to show them why humans mastered underground warfare long before we reached the stars. The first Mercoid hunter rounded the corner, its sensor-covered head sweeping the area. The alien's armor was a masterpiece of biological engineering, but Miller had spotted one critical flaw during their earlier encounters. It was designed for protection against energy weapons and explosives, not the kind of industrial equipment humans use to reshape planets. Now, Miller shouted, squeezing the trigger of his modified mining laser. The beam, originally designed to cut through rock, sliced through the alien's bio-armor like it was tissue paper. The Mercoid's shriek of pain and surprise echoed through the tunnels, a sound that would haunt Miller's dreams for years to come. Chaos erupted in the confined space. The other hunters tried to bring their advanced weapons to bear, but the narrow tunnel worked against them. More mining lasers fired from hidden positions, the humans using their knowledge of the territory to full advantage. Digger, status on those charges, Miller called out as he dove behind a support pillar, energy bolts from alien weapons sizzling past him. Ready on your mark, sir. Miller waited 3 more seconds, counting the alien footsteps as they moved into position. Execute. Execute. The explosions were precisely calculated, not to kill, but to trap. Support beams carefully weakened over the past hours gave way in a controlled collapse. The tunnel section between the human forces and the Mercoid filled with rubble, and more importantly, the section behind the aliens collapsed as well. 4 minutes of air, Williams reported, checking her handheld scanner. Those sections are completely sealed now. Miller nodded grimly. The aliens would either try to blast their way out, causing more cave-ins, or they'd slowly suffocate in their trapped section. Either way, they'd learn that humans were far from helpless prey. Command, this is Miller, he called through the emergency channel. Phase 1 complete. We've got some gifts for Dr. Bradley's research team. Alien tech, and maybe some bodies for study. Moving to Phase 2. As his team began their organized withdrawal, Miller could hear the increasingly desperate sounds of the trapped hunters. They were learning what every Earth species that had ever gone against humans had learned. Technology and natural weapons weren't everything. Sometimes, the most dangerous predator was the one that could think its way around a superior opponent. "Sir," Williams called out as they reached their rally point. "Long-range sensors are picking up more ships entering orbit." Miller checked his own scanner and smiled. "Good. That means they'll be looking for revenge instead of thinking clearly. Time to show them what else we've got planned for their hunt." Dr. Emily Ghost Walker hadn't slept in 36 hours, but sleep was the last thing on her mind as she studied the holographic display before her. The underground laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with activity as her team worked to understand their alien adversaries. The captured Mercoid bodies from the Mars colony had given them their first real look at what they were fighting. "Admiral Richardson," she called out, not taking her eyes off the display. "I think you need to see this." Admiral James Iron Man Richardson strode across the lab, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the holographic anatomy display. At 63, he'd seen more combat than anyone else in the room, but nothing had prepared him for this war. "Talk to me, Ghost," he said, using her old Special Forces call sign. "Tell me you found something we can use." Emily manipulated the display, zooming in on the Mercoid's muscular structure. "They're ambush predators, sir. Everything about their evolution points to it. These muscle groups here," she highlighted several dense clusters, "they're built for explosive power. Short, incredibly powerful bursts of speed and strength." "Like a lion," Richardson mused, stroking his gray beard. "Exactly." Emily's eyes lit up with the excitement of discovery. "But that's not the most important part. Look at their cardiovascular system." She rotated the display. "They have nothing like human endurance. Their entire biology is optimized for short, overwhelming displays of force. They're used to their prey, either dying quickly or escaping." Richardson's eyes narrowed. "And if neither happens, they tire," Emily said, a predatory smile crossing her face. "Their bodies burn through energy at an incredible rate during combat. They're made for the perfect ambush, the perfect kill, but they have no staying power." The Admiral walked slowly around the display, his military mind already processing the implications. "They've never had to chase their prey to exhaustion." "Because they've never encountered another predator species," Emily confirmed. "Sir, do you know what made early humans such successful hunters? It wasn't our strength or speed. It was our endurance. We could track prey for days, running them to exhaustion. The Mercoid, they've never experienced anything like that." Dr. Bradley's team on Mars reported they recovered some of their technology. Richardson said, "What can you tell me about their weapons?" Emily brought up another display, this one showing the bioorganic weaponry they'd captured. Same philosophy. Overwhelming force, but limited sustained output. Their entire civilization is built around the concept of the perfect strike. They've never had to fight a prolonged war. Richardson was silent for a long moment. Then a slow smile spread across his face. "They think they're the ultimate hunters, but they've never met a species that hunted like us." He turned to his aide. "Get me General Martinez on the line. Tell her to begin Operation Long Hunt." "Sir," Emily called out as he turned to leave. "There's one more thing." She brought up data from the Mars battle. "We've analyzed their response to resistance. They become confused when their initial strike fails. It's like they don't know how to handle prey that fights back effectively." "Because they've never had to." Richardson's voice was thoughtful. "Their entire species psychology is built around being the ultimate predator. What happens to a predator that suddenly finds itself being hunted?" Emily's answer was cut off by the blaring of alarms. A junior officer burst into the lab. "Admiral, We're detecting multiple Mercoid ships entering the solar system. They're launching a full-scale invasion. Richardson's face hardened, but his eyes held a dangerous gleam. Good. Send word to all commands. Operation Long Hunt is now active. Let's show these aliens what it means to hunt like humans. He turned back to Emily. Doctor, I want you working with Tactical Command. Time to turn their biology against them. As the Admiral strode out, Emily looked back at the holographic display of the Mercoid warrior. They'd evolved as the perfect killers, but they were about to learn that Earth had produced something far more dangerous, a species that had mastered both the quick kill and the long hunt. Colonel Diana Huntress Martins watched the tactical display from the bridge of the U.S. Artemis, her expression one of focused intensity. 20 Mercoid ships hung in high Earth orbit, their bioorganic forms creating an alien constellation against the backdrop of stars. They were preparing for what they thought would be their final, triumphant hunt. They were wrong. All wolf packs report ready, Colonel. Lieutenant Commander Rachel Betta Winters announced, her hands dancing over the tactical console. Packs Alpha through Delta are in position. Echo and Foxtrot are moving to secondary strike points. Martins nodded, her mind going back to the wolves she'd studied in Yellowstone before joining the Space Force. Remember your training, she broadcast to all commands. We hunt like our ancestors did. No single ship engages directly. We are the pack, and the pack is patient. The first phase began almost imperceptibly. Small squadrons of Earth's ships appeared at the edge of the Mercoid formation, firing brief volleys before disappearing into the vast expanse of space. The aliens responded predictably, turning their massive ships to face each threat, burning precious energy in their bioorganic drives. Pack Beta, you have a bite. Martins called out. Take it and fade. On the display, a group of Earth ships darted in from behind a disabled communications satellite. Their weapons were modified based on Dr. Walker's research, calibrated to strain the Mercoid's biological hull systems without triggering their automatic regeneration. The aliens' return fire was devastating, but hit only empty space as the human ships vanished into the debris field. They're starting to show frustration, Winters reported, reading energy signatures. Their power output is spiking. They're burning through their bioenergy reserves faster than they can regenerate. Martins allowed herself a small smile, just like Dr. Walker predicted. They're not used to prey that bites back and then disappears. How long until their primary weapons need to recharge? At current burn rate, 20 minutes, maybe less. The Colonel opened a channel to all pack leaders. Phase 2 begins now. Remember, we're not looking for the kill. We're looking to exhaust. Every strike makes them burn energy. Every chase drains their resources. We are the wolves, and they are running out of strength. The space around Earth became a deadly dance. Human ships struck from multiple angles, never staying in one place long enough to take serious damage. The Mercoid's superior technology meant nothing against an enemy that refused to fight on their terms. Their biological ships, designed for overwhelming ambush attacks, were forced to maintain high energy states for hours. Colonel, Winters called out, excitement in her voice. Look at their formation. It's starting to break down. The tactical display told the story. The alien ships were no longer moving with their earlier precision. Some were noticeably slower, their bioorganic systems strained beyond their limits. Others were firing wildly at sensor ghosts, their crews losing the psychological battle against an enemy they couldn't properly engage. Now they learn, Martins said softly. This is how humans hunted before we had technology. We didn't need to be the strongest or the fastest. We just had to be the most relentless. She keyed her command channel. All packs, execute final phase. Show them how the hunt ends. The human fleet converged from all directions, their attacks now precisely targeted at the weakened alien ships. The Mercoid tried to rally, to form their devastating attack patterns, but their reactions were slow, their energy reserves depleted. One by one, their ships began to fall. "Ma'am," Winters reported, "we're picking up some kind of broadcasting signal from the alien fleet. They're calling for reinforcements." Martinez's expression was grim but satisfied. "Good. Let them call. Let them tell the rest of their kind what they found here. Earth isn't a hunting ground. It's the home of something they've never encountered before. Prey that learn to hunt better than the hunters." As the battle continued around them, the message went out across the stars. The Mercoid's call for help carried with it an unintended warning to the rest of the galaxy. Humanity had joined the hunt, and they were rewriting the rules. Major Ryan Mind Games. Anderson stood before the holographic display in the Psychological Warfare Division's command center, studying the real-time mural readings from a captured Mercoid scout ship. After 3 weeks of Operation Echo, the data was telling a fascinating story. "Show me their stress indicators again," he asked the AI system. "Compare current readings to first contact baseline." The display shifted, showing a dramatic spike in neural activity among the alien crew. Dr. Samantha Brain Reynolds, the division's lead synapsepsychologist, pointed to a particular pattern. "This is something we've never seen in their species before. It's the equivalent of what we'd call paranoia in humans." Anderson nodded, his dark eyes reflecting the glow of the display. "They're not used to being watched. Every species they've encountered before either fought head-on or tried to run away. Nobody's ever just followed them." Operation Echo was unlike any military strategy in human history. 50 stealth ships, their hulls modified with reversed-engineered Mercoid technology, had been assigned to simply track the alien vessels. They never attacked, never engaged directly. They just watched, always present, always following, like shadows that couldn't be shaken. Latest report from the Artemis, sir, Lieutenant James Shadow Cooper called out. Colonel Martinez's teams are reporting similar behavioral changes in their targets. The Mercoid are starting to make mistakes, basic tactical errors that would have been unthinkable 3 weeks ago. Anderson walked to another display, showing the position of every known Mercoid ship in the solar system. The alien vessels were no longer moving with their earlier confidence. Their formations were becoming erratic, their responses to human presence increasingly desperate. "They're coming apart at the seams," Dr. Reynolds observed. "Their entire species psychology is built around being the ultimate predator. Now they're experiencing something their evolution never prepared them for, the constant, unrelenting pressure of being stalked." A new alert flashed across the main screen. Anderson's eyes narrowed as he read the data. They're burning twice as much bioenergy just maintaining basic operations. Their crews are so on edge, they're keeping their weapons systems constantly charged, which only exhausts them faster, Reynolds added. It's a feedback loop. The more tired they get, the more paranoid they become. The more paranoid they become, the more energy they waste. Anderson opened a channel to Fleet Command. "Admiral Richardson, this is Anderson. Operation Echo is showing better results than we anticipated. The psychological strain is starting to break them. I recommend moving to Phase 2. Richardson's voice crackled through the comm. "Understood, Major. You're clear to begin active harassment. Show them what real psychological warfare looks like." A predatory smile crossed Anderson's face as he turned to his team. "Initialize the Phantom Protocol. I want every stealth ship to begin broadcasting the sound package we developed. Let's see how they handle something new to fear." Across the solar system, human stealth ships began broadcasting a carefully designed audio signal. A low, continuous sound that the Mercoid's bioorganic ships could feel but not quite hear. It was like a shadow in their peripheral vision, always there but never quite visible. neural activity spiking across all monitored vessels, Cooper reported. They're starting to break formation. Several ships are reporting equipment malfunctions due to crew error. Dr. Reynolds studied the data with professional fascination. We're not just teaching them fear, we're teaching them doubt. For the first time in their history, there are questions whether they're really at the top of the food chain. Anderson watched as the mighty hunters of space began to crumble under the weight of their own fear. It was a lesson humanity had learned long ago in the ancient savannas of Earth. Sometimes the most effective weapon wasn't the sharpest claw or the strongest armor, but the ability to get inside your opponent's head. Send word to all commands, he ordered. Operation Echo is moving to final phase. It's time to show the galaxy's greatest hunters what it feels like to be the hunted. In the vast darkness of space, the Mercoid ships continued their increasingly erratic movements, their crews jumping at shadows, while an unseen enemy watched and waited, just as humanity's ancestors had done so many thousands of years ago. Dr. Alexandra Tech Witch Matthews stood in the center of the massive underground laboratory, surrounded by floating holographic displays of Mercoid biotechnology. The captured alien ship components pulsed with a dim, organic light in their containment chambers, still alive despite being separated from their host vessels. It's not just technology, she explained to the gathered military leaders. It's evolution in action. Their ships don't just carry weapons, they grow them. But that's also their greatest weakness. Admiral Richardson stepped forward, his eyes fixed on a particularly complex display, showing the integration of human AI with Mercoid biocircuits. You found a way to interface with their systems. Alexandra's eyes lit up with the fire of discovery. Better than that, sir. We've found a way to make them evolve in the direction we want. She gestured to a sealed chamber where a section of alien hull material was gradually changing color. Their biotechnology is designed to adapt and improve based on combat experience. We've simply redirected that process. In English, Dr. General Marcus Stone Peterson growled, his scared face reflecting the blue light of the displays. We're teaching their technology to think like us, Alexandra said, moving to a central console. Watch this. She initiated a sequence, and the whole section in the chamber began to pulse with new patterns. We've introduced human combat AI into their biological matrix. Instead of just adapting to damage, it's now learning to anticipate and plan, just like a human hunter would. The military leaders watched in fascination as the alien material restructured itself, forming new patterns that were neither purely Mercoid nor human in design. It was something entirely new. The first hybrid ship is ready for testing, Alexandra continued, bringing up new schematics. We call it the Predator class. It combines the best of both worlds, Mercoid biological adaptability with human strategic thinking. It's not just a weapon. It's the next step in military evolution. Lieutenant Sarah Serkitchen, Alexandra's chief engineer, added, the bio-neural networks are learning at an exponential rate. Each success, each adaptation, is shared across the entire network. They're learning to hunt like humans, while retaining their biological advantages. Richardson studied the data with growing excitement. How soon can we deploy? The first squadron is ready now, Alexandra replied. But there's more. She brought up a new display showing energy readings. We've also discovered how to disrupt their ship's biological functions. Every time they try to adapt to our attacks, we can force them to waste energy on useless mutations. It's like giving their entire fleet an autoimmune disease. The Admiral's eyes narrowed with understanding. We're not just fighting them. We're making them fight themselves. Alexandra nodded, pride evident in her voice. Exactly. Their greatest strength, their ability to adapt and evolve, has become their greatest weakness. While they're struggling to counter our attacks, their ships are literally burning themselves out trying to match our hybrid technology. General Peterson moved closer to the contained hull section, watching as it continued to change and evolve. How many ships can we convert with the captured materials we have? Enough, Alexandra said with confidence. And once the first wave is deployed, they'll help us capture more. It's a cascading effect. Each victory gives us more resources to convert, more technology to adapt. We're beating them at their own game of evolution. And alerts sounded through the lab. Priority message from the front lines. Lieutenant Chen quickly brought up the report. Sir, the Mercoid fleet is launching a major offensive. They're trying to break through our lines before we can fully deploy the new technology. Richardson's face hardened with determination. They know we found their weakness. Dr. Matthews, begin full production. General Peterson, prepare your forces. It's time to show these hunters what happens when prey decides to evolve. As the military leaders rushed to their posts, Alexandra turned back to the displays, watching as human ingenuity and alien biology merged into something new. In the ancient savannas of Earth, humanity had learned to use tools to overcome stronger predators. Now, in the vast expanse of space, they were doing it again, taking the weapons of their enemy and making them their own. Commander Jessica Steel Eyes Thompson stood on the bridge of the HMS Evolutionist, the first of humanity's hybrid warships. The biomechanical display before her pulsed with both digital precision and organic fluidity, showing the positions of the remaining Mercoid fleet. After months of relentless pursuit, the alien hunters had been driven to their final stronghold in the asteroid belt. All wolf pack leaders report ready. Colonel Martinez's voice came through the neural interface, a new feature of their hybrid technology. The Mercoid ships are showing significant signs of strain. Their bioenergy levels are at critical lows. Thompson allowed herself a grim smile. Just like running down prey on the ancient plains, they're finally reaching their breaking point. She opened a channel to all commands. This is Commander Thompson. Operation Endgame is now active. Show them what it means to be hunted by Earth's finest. The human fleet moved with devastating coordination, their hybrid ships displaying both the adaptability of Mercoid biology and the ruthless efficiency of human tactical eye. The asteroid belt had become a killing ground, but not in the way the aliens had originally planned. Multiple contacts breaking formation. Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, his hands dancing over the bioneural controls. They're trying to split up, running like scattered prey. Not this time, Thompson responded. Major Anderson, begin the final phase of Operation Echo. Let's see how they handle true fear. The Psychological Warfare Division activated their most potent weapon yet, a combination of bioresonance frequencies that played on the deepest fears of the Mercoid psychology. The effect was immediate and devastating. The once proud hunter ships began moving erratically, their crews fighting both external threats and their own primal terrors. Energy spike from the Mercoid flagship. Rodriguez shouted, they're attempting some kind of last-stand maneuver. The alien command ship, a massive bioorganic construct, nearly twice the size of any other vessel, surged forward in a desperate charge. Its weapons blazed with the last of its energy reserves, a final show of defiance from a species that had never known defeat. Thompson's voice was cold and steady. All ships, execute Pattern Alpha 7. Show them how Earth's predators deal with cornered prey. The human fleet moved like a well-coordinated pack of wolves. Hybrid ships darted between asteroids, their combined human-Mercoid technology, allowing them to anticipate and counter every desperate move. Each attack was precisely calculated to force the aliens to expend more of their dwindling energy. Ma'am, Rodriguez's voice held a note of awe. We're picking up something unusual from the enemy fleet. They're communicating with their homeworld. Thompson gestured, and the translated message appeared before her. Warning to all hunter clans, Sol system contains true predators. Humanity is not prey. They have taken our strength and made it their own. They do not tire. They do not stop. They have learned to hunt as we never could. Avoid their territory at all costs. We were wrong. We were so wrong. The message cut off as another Mercoid ship succumbed to the relentless human assault. The remaining alien vessels, their once proud bioorganic forms now dimmed and scared, began to power down their weapons. They're surrendering, Martins reported through the neural link. The hunt is over. Thompson looked out at the battlefield, where human innovation had finally overcome alien superiority. No, Colonel. The hunt is just beginning. Now the rest of the galaxy will learn what it means to threaten Earth. As the last Mercoid ships powered down their systems, a new message was broadcast from the human fleet. A warning to any other species that might consider Earth an easy target. Humanity had not just survived the hunt. They had become something more. They had evolved into a force that combined the best of both predator and prey, technology and biology, strength and intelligence. The last hunt had ended, but its message would echo through the stars. Earth was no longer just another world to be hunted. It was the home of the galaxy's new apex predators, and the hunters had become the hunted. Admiral James Iron Man Richardson stood before the United Earth Council, the holographic displays behind him showing the aftermath of humanity's victory. The captured Mercoid ships, now stripped of their bioweapons, floated in high Earth orbit as silent testimonies to the change in the galactic order. The last Mercoid vessel surrendered 48 hours ago, he reported, his voice carrying through the ancient chamber. But the real victory isn't in the ships we've captured or the technology we've acquired. It's in the message we've sent to the galaxy. Dr. Alexandra Matthews stepped forward, her research team's findings displaying behind her. The Mercoid's distress signal has been picked up by at least 7 other spacefaring species. They're all watching us now, and what they're seeing is something they've never encountered before. The display shifted to show the new hybrid ships, their forms a perfect blend of human innovation and alien biology. Commander Thompson's voice came through the communication channel from the HMS Evolutionist. We're not just defenders anymore. We've proven that humanity can take the best of what we find and make it our own. Colonel Martinez, standing at the council chamber's military section, added her report. 3 previously unknown alien species have already sent diplomatic requests. They're not looking to hunt us anymore. They want to learn from us. The predators have become the teachers. But the most significant change, Major Anderson interjected from his position, near the psychological warfare display, is in how the galaxy now perceives us. We're not just another species that fought back. We're the species that turned the hunter's own nature against them. The council chamber erupted in discussion as the implications became clear. Humanity had not just survived. They had fundamentally changed the rules of galactic interaction. Dr. Emily Walker's research appeared on the main display, showing how the hybrid technology was already evolving beyond its original parameters. We've received the first translations of alien news networks, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his communication station. They're calling it the Great Reversal, the story of how a supposedly soft species became the new apex predators is spreading across known space. Richardson allowed himself a small smile as he delivered the final part of his report. The Mercoid Empire has sued for peace. Their terms are generous. They're offering technological exchange, star charts of unknown regions, and most importantly, a recognition of Earth as a protected space, not because we need protection, but because they want to ensure we have no reason to hunt them. The Admiral's expression grew serious as he continued. But we need to remember something critical. We won not because we were stronger or more advanced, but because we remembered who we are. A species that learned to hunt on the plains of Africa, that never stopped adapting, never stopped learning. We took their strength and added it to our own. Dr. Matthews' team had one final display to show. the next generation of hybrid ships already under construction. "We're not stopping here," she announced. "Every lesson we learned, every adaptation we made, is being incorporated into our new designs. We're evolving faster than any pure biological or pure mechanical system could." The council chamber fell silent as the final images appeared, long-range scans showing other alien fleets changing course, giving Earth's space a wide berth. The message was clear. The galaxy had a new apex species. "We don't need to hunt them," Richardson concluded. "Just knowing that we can is enough." Humanity's story has always been one of adaptation and growth. Now the galaxy knows. We're not just another species of prey that learned to fight back. We're the predators who remember what it was like to be prey, and that makes us more dangerous than any pure hunter could ever be. As the council session ended, the news spread across human space. The age of being hunted was over. Humanity had not just survived the greatest hunt in their history. They had become the greatest hunters the galaxy had ever known. And unlike their predecessors, they had the wisdom to know when not to hunt at all.